Welcome to the space where knowledge meets the action. Welcome to the Empowering Show, where we break down the barriers, helping you grow. Financial literacy, speaking truth to the power. Real conversation, changing lives by the hour. We inspire to change, here we challenge the status quo. Sharing tools for building wealth, watching your seeds grow. Empower you to take control of your future. No more living in the past. We're the authors of the sutra. Get ready, get set, let the movement begin. Because empowerment starts now. Let the light in.
All right. Good evening. It's somewhere around 6 o'clock, and welcome to the Empowerment Show. My name is Kendall, and I am the host of the show. Always, we like to start the show off by looking for some things to be grateful for. As I was just explaining to my guests, is that I do this for the community. So this is my way of trying to give back. So I'm grateful to have the platform to be able to do that. Don't forget about the bus ride. So I got a young lady, and she's going to be coming in. Her name is RHONDA Thomas, okay? And no, she's not related to Booth, okay? Just so you guys know, not Wilkes Booth. But I'm going to bring her in right now. Hey.
Hi, good night.
How you doing? How you feeling? You great?
Yes, excited to finally have this discussion with you.
I'm glad to see that you're here. I tell you that. I seriously am. So let's get into it. Let's find out who you are. All right. So I know you got this psychology thing going on. So talk to me about it. And also, you know, there's a little caveat here. You're an author as well.
Yes, I am. First time.
What is it? What is it called? Fall in love with self.
Yeah.
With yourself. Yeah. Yeah, I do my research. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. Tell me who you are. Talk to me about the psychology. Tell me about the books. I want to hear about the husband, the kids. I want to hear it all.
You want to hear it all. And I know the first time we met, and I was trying to tell you all, you was like, no, don't tell me anything. Don't wait. And that was the first time anyone has ever told me that. Like, I don't want to know about you now. Tell me later. So here's the later. As everybody's seen on the screen, my name is RHONDA THOMAS-BOOTHE, not related to the other Booth, because this is the last name Booth, derived in Jamaica with the E, with E. When you spell it, don't forget the E. Originally, I'm from Barbados, a small island in the Caribbean, 166 square miles. And love my home, the land of sun, sea, and just beautiful people. I have been married for 30 years to the same person with 3 kids.
Hey, you know, hold on, you know, that deserves some sort of a recognition. So let's give some sort of recognition for that. All right, okay, because 30 years, that's a stretch. I know, because my wife and I are at 30 years. So I know the trials, tribulations, and how difficult things can be. And to get to the other side, as they say, and here you are at this point in life, it's a blessing. So
it is truly.
Let me let you continue on. Do you have any children?
Yes, I have three kids. So I shouldn't even call them kids. 2 are adults. My oldest daughter is 24. My son, he is going to be 20 next week. And my youngest is 17 years old. So as we get excited when we hear those ages, like they're out the door, I want my kids to stay around as long as possible. I'm not looking for my kids to be out there trying to struggle in the economy that we have. I grew up in a household where we stayed together. You know, we stayed together. The adult children look after the parents. So it's not a norm for us to push the children out as soon as they get to a certain age. So my thing to them, stay as long as you want. When you think you're financially able to afford the good things in life, because that's what I'm going to call it, the good things in life, then you can move on, you know. So, and a little backstory on the education part. When I first came to America at the age of 17, it was to go to college.
Okay.
And I didn't get to college until I was in my 30s, well, maybe
Wow.
40s. It was a dream deferred.
Wow.
And
Okay.
if you remember Langston Hughes' dream, that dream deferred, it
Mm-hmm.
festers and that affects your mental health because you have a dream. And when you have a dream and you can't even attain or even have even steps or in a journey to accomplish that dream. Many times I started school and had to stop for various reasons. The last one was my son. I was pregnant with my son. When I was finally happy to go to college, I could skip through the doors and I was excited. I'm going to be a college graduate. And when I found out I was pregnant with my son, the doctor said either it was school or my job. Because of some medical issues, I had to give up college and focus on work until it was time for bed rest to be, you know,
Mm.
in order to give birth to him. So when that dream, you know, went away, I became a mom. I became that mom that my mom wasn't. Because she had certain reasons why she couldn't be that mom to me. And I understand, we understand, you know, growing up tough, but I didn't want to do that to my kids. I wanted to be that full-time mom. I wanted to raise my kids. I didn't want them in daycare, and everybody's not privileged to do that, but I gave up just to do that. I gave up a job in New York City that was paying me a lot of money to stay home with my kids. I wanted to raise my kids. So when I was able to go back to school in 2017 at the urging of a mentor, and I guess later on we'll talk why mentors are so important in our community, in the Black community or the people of color
Mm-hmm.
community, why mentors are so important. Because after not going back to school, I figure I'm a mom. I'm going to settle into this mom thing, raise my kids, eventually go back out to work. It was still eating at me. That educational part was eating at me all the time. I found myself reading different types of books and just reading. And when I was able to go back to school in 2017 at the urge of my mentor, I started
Mm-hmm.
with my associate's degree at the local college doing social sciences. And then after I graduated with my associate, she said, "You're not finished. You need to go back. You need to go back." And I was like, "Well, I'm a college graduate now. Why do I need to go back to school? I got it." And she was like, "No, you need to go to higher ed. Associate's level is an introduction to your higher ed. You got to go higher." And I was a little hesitant, and I was like, you know what, maybe she has a point, because I did some research and realized that the associate's degree, even you have that, if you really want to go further, you have to grow some more. So I
Mm-hmm.
went on and I got my bachelor's in psychology. And the reason why I chose psychology is, for years my daughter would say to me, "Mommy, people are so comfortable talking to you. They feel at ease to give you a story." She was always with me, and people would stop and start talking, telling me their life story, and I would listen, and then I would give them suggestions on what they should do next. And like, people just love to talk to you. Even her school friends would come with their problems, and they always want to be in our home, not because of the fashion, but also for me to talk to them. And she would always share my suggestions with them. And she was like, "Mom, you should be a counselor. I want you to go back to school. Maybe you should be a guidance counselor, because our guidance counselor at school she's not good."
Right.
And it broke my heart to hear my daughter like, the guidance counselor is there to help you. So that was the reason why I went back and studied psychology. And while doing my studies, it also helped me to understand who I am inside, like deep down, who's the true me. Because
Mm-hmm.
psychology involves philosophy, and philosophy, the meaning of life. Why are you here? What is your purpose? And I found
Right.
out while I was studying, I found parts of myself that it was there, but it helped to enhance the understanding of why you why you react to certain things, why you don't react, why you think the way you do, and
Mhm.
my overall purpose. I saw that. So with that, I got excited and I was like, okay, got the bachelor's. My mentor stepped back in and she was like, nope, you got to go back. And if you take a
Mm.
break, I guarantee you're not going to go back. So I signed up for school again and went after my master's degree in psychology. I figure I stepped in. Let's keep going with psychology, and it was an amazing. It was a difficult journey because I tell people statistic made my eyes sweat. I wouldn't say cry. They made my eyes sweat.
All
So
right. We'll let you get away with that one. Okay.
yes,
Your eyes
my
are
eyes sweat.
sweating. I got you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So after I got my psychology degree, and unfortunately, my mentor, she passed away before my graduation because she was getting her doctorate. And we were both on that same level of higher ed because she told me I was not going to stop. I was going to get my PhD. And I was like, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. And she did convince me to step back into that journey. And when she passed away, everything just stopped. Like my whole life just stopped. It really did. And it's not that 2 years now since I've had my master's degree, and I've been on websites, I've been contacting colleges. I just haven't made the commitment yet.
This is what I can say about your story, just to interrupt a little bit. Life keep lifing.
Yeah.
You were talking about you couldn't go back to school until you were 40 years old, but life keep lifing. And look at where you're at now. So it was time for you to do it now. And at this particular point in your life, you can dedicate time to actually
Yes.
doing what you want to do. Before you had the kids, you had a whole lot of life going on. So
Exactly.
now, like I said, now at this point, you get the opportunity to do the things you want to do. Now, psychology. Here's a question. I got a
Mhm.
question. And we're dealing with a lot of African Americans. Now, I come from the city. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. And the one thing that I noticed is a lot of PTSD.
Mm,
Yeah, a lot of it, and I
trauma.
mean, from right trauma, but yeah, what are they? Post traumatic slave disorder as well. You see, I've seen a lot of that as well.
Yes.
And how can we combat this? I mean, I'm along the line of Frederick Douglass. I'm not the guy to hang out with Booker T. Okay, yeah, all right. Frederick Douglass was my man. You got me, Booker
Yes.
T. Yeah. So I'm about improving our people and doing
Yes.
things to help us grow. And mental
Yes.
illness is a big problem, and a lot of it is due to trauma.
Yes. And a lot of the trauma that we experience in our community is adverse childhood experiences. It's the experience we had as a child and most likely went unhealed because we didn't, therapy wasn't afforded to us. We thought therapy was this higher level that only certain people would enter. So a lot of our traumas was dealt with in church. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with church because spirituality is a part of the dimensions of wellness.
Hmm.
Religion is something different. So a lot of our traumas were dealt with in the church as being quiet and not to bring shame because there were stigmas when it came to mental health. There were stigmas. So all those stigmas quiet our trauma. It didn't quiet our trauma. It pushed it down. So as we become adults, as we're growing and we're becoming adults, that trauma increased because we had triggers, and because we never learned how to manage those triggers that will go in and bring those traumas out of us. That's why you see now that people our age, they're saying like, "Oh my gosh," they're recognizing their traumas and going to get therapy. So the first step is awareness
Hmm.
that you're not well, because we walk around and we think we're okay. Because how many times you hear people say, I'm okay, I'm okay. And then deep down, they're not okay because you don't recognize that you're not okay. And it's okay not to feel okay. So the strength, we have this amazing strength. Yes, because as you said, we were hard back. You can beat us, you can pound us down, we still rise. But when it comes to mental health, you can't think that way. You cannot think that you're going to be strong and deal with your mental health. I thought that I could handle my mental health perfectly. I'm fine until I couldn't. So that awareness, we have to start with awareness first and seeking help. It's okay to seek that help and the right type of help, because we have a lot of people on the internet. I'm not a clinical psychologist or anything. I'm not a clinician on that part. I am more wellness coaching. That's my background, because I feel like when you go to a doctor, you see the nurse before you go to before you see the doctor. I'm that person, that wellness person, that mentoring, that mentorship. Before you see other people, I'm that person first. And then I said, okay, you need to see a therapist now. And then I will refer you to a therapist. I didn't go that route because I wanted to more teach. I wanted our people to understand that I'm available. You can access me through many means, and we can talk. For years, I mentored. I didn't charge anybody for mentoring. People talk to me about their problems, and we talk therapy. I call it talk therapy because sometimes people want to vent. You've had things inside you so much, you just want to talk it out, and sometimes you feel better. And I said, after that, you have to follow up with someone if you need more help than I can give you. So we have to recognize that we're not okay. We really do. And seek help.
So what would be some of the signs? How a guy walks into your office or tries to get in contact with you because he feels that he may have a mental illness. What are the signs? How do you determine whether he has this illness or not?
Well, assessments. I don't do clinical assessments, but if you say to me, I am getting up every day, I feel hopeless, I don't want to go to work, I don't want to function, that's when I will tell you, you need to see a psychologist, a therapist, to do assessments, because in their office, they do various assessments to see the level that you're at. And that's where you would get that help. If you say to me, my part is, if you say to me, Rhonda, I want to set a goal to do better. I want to feel better. Right now, I'm in a place where I know that I want to do better with eating. I want to do better exercising. I want to do better being happy, because I don't feel like people around me are supporting me when I do stuff. That's the part I come in to help you build goals and boundaries. Because if you're a person that's constantly giving of yourself, and you're constantly giving and you're pouring into others and you are drained, that's when I step in and I start you on those boundaries. It's time to stop. It's time to take care of yourself, because you can't be given so much of yourself when there's nothing. You're pouring from an empty cup. So if your cup is empty and you're pouring out empty, you're not serving your purpose. You're not serving anyone. So that's the part where I come in to help you build those healthy boundaries.
I like the way you set that up with the BB, mind over matter. You know, we used to have the saying, mind over matter. Yeah, okay, but if you don't have a mind, it doesn't matter.
Don't matter. And sometimes, and I would say sometimes we focus on the matter so much that it affects the mind. And our mind is such a beautiful organ. It's just a beautiful organ. Like our brain, I'm a very, you'll see that I'm a nerd because when we talk about the brain, I get excited because it's such a wonderful organ that when I was studying positive psychology, it opened up my mind to see that you can change the way you think. And I call it the chicken little syndrome. Back in the days, we had a book that the sky is falling, and everybody got nervous and start running around. And to me, when you're always thinking about the problem, you're always going to have issues with your mental health. When you start thinking about the solution, you're going to walk around a positive person, because here's a problem, here's a solution. You combat it one time. Everybody can't think like that. But if you take slow steps, you get up. I have a headache, or my back hurts. Thank goodness I can breathe. Thank goodness I can breathe. So I always flip the switch whenever I feel in that, especially I know I was listening to the nurse last night on one of your shows as I was doing some research as well.
Oh, Connie.
Yes, Connie. And she was talking about menopause and perimenopause. And these are things that way back, we called women were hysterical. And we locked women up. We put women away because they were hysterical. Women were experiencing menopause and perimenopause. And now I am seeing what that feels like, because again, to understand someone, you have to walk in their shoes. And that's, to me, that's lived experiences is one of the best teachers in life, because you understand and therefore you can relate. So when people I'll go back to the perimenopause, our minds change again, because I don't feel like getting up. I don't feel like working. I don't feel like talking to anybody. I don't want to eat this. You hear all the I don't want to's. The heat flashes, everything is going on in your body. And this is where you have to tell yourself, you can do this. I can get up today. I may not want to do laundry, but I'm going to go outside. I'm going to do something. You always have to be in your head telling yourself you can do it. And this is where the mentorship comes in, because our young people, some young people, they've never had people telling them you can do this. They've never had the opportunity. Because if you look at certain demographics of people and where they live, and you take that one kid out and you expose that kid to music and art, and you see the wonderful things this one kid did, and you go like, oh my God, because he's never been given the opportunity. There was nobody in his corner saying, you can do this. So that's where my mentorship comes in. I inspire kids. I motivate them to do whatever their heart desires.
No, you should have been around. I met you a little too late. A whole lot of years too late, because I happen to be one of those people that fell into the system, if you want to say. I have developmental dyslexia, but that wasn't found out until I was around 13 years old. So if you can imagine going through the school system, not being able to read and write, it becomes a difficult thing. But we overcome it. And like you said, a mentor. I end up getting a mentor. I had to end up being incarcerated, but I had a good person. They actually cared, and they took the time to say, hey, this is what your issue is, and this is what we have to do in order to work on it. So people like you working as a coach, as a life coach, and as a wellness coach, the community needs people like you. But I want you to get into more about your coaching and what you actually do as a coach, and a little bit more about wellness. But we got to do that after we come back. Okay, we got to take a little break.
Okay.
A doctor's calling, a company's mission, united for a greater good. When Edmark International, the pioneers of wellness, joined forces with Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire, naturopath, the world gained a new weapon in the fight for true health. Co-created, science-backed, nature-powered. This isn't just a product. This is a movement. Born from decades of groundbreaking research, naturopathic mastery, and Edmark's relentless innovation.
The body wants to heal itself, and we have just given it the ultimate toolkit.
A detox unlike any other. A partnership unlike any other. The future of health starts now.
Yeah, Dr. LaJoyce Brookshire. That's her product that she has. She's been on the show a couple of times. She's a good friend of the show. And the product actually works. I use the product. So,
Oh, you do?
So tell me, yeah. I want to find out a little bit more about, like we said, the coaching and this wellness. But I do have a question, because you were talking about women, and I guess going through their cycle and different menstrual and different how it affects them emotionally and physically. So I just wanted to ask you about postpartum depression, because
I
recently in the news there was a woman who she took the lives of three of her children, and she said it's because of postpartum depression. How real is that, and how many people would get that, and how do you treat that?
Postpartum depression is something. It is definitely something because having three kids of my own, I experienced it a week after I had my was it my firstborn, and after my son. And you truly need a support system. If you don't have anybody around you, because I don't think that people realize that our bodies, women who are pregnant and they give birth, your body is going through so many changes. And thank goodness, there was a book. I can't remember the name of the book, but it's about pregnancy. It's like, I can't remember if it was Chicken Soup for the Pregnant Mom or Pregnant Soul or whatever those titles are.
Mhm.
But it helps you to understand the changes in your body. Because if I didn't have my mom after I had every one of my kids, if I didn't have my mom, I don't think I would have been I'm saying that I don't think I was able to handle it because I have my mom, I have my sister-in-law. I had a team of people around me because I had 3 C-sections with each kid. And your hormones, when the child was removed from my body because I said I had a C-section, your hormones drop so fast that sometimes the body can't keep up with the drop in that hormone. And for people who might have had some mental health issues before and dropping those hormones, it could be detrimental to a lot of women. I was
Mm.
crying. I was literally crying after my mom left because one, I couldn't touch my daughter. She was so small. I was scared that I was going to hurt her. So I was crying. I was crying that I might hurt her. And that fear, I just built up a fear that I was going to hurt my child, that it affected me so much that I couldn't touch her. I could not touch her because I was scared that I would hurt her. So my mom was here when she needed to be breastfed. My mom would bring her to me. She'll take her back. So that's how
Mm.
I bonded with my daughter, because she would breastfeed and then my mom would take care of her.
Mm.
And when the
Well,
crying started, I couldn't take it. Couldn't take
well,
the
your
crying.
mother, she played the doula role, or
Yes,
the midwife. Yeah, she played that
yes,
role.
she
And I
played
guess
that
that's what
role.
that right. I guess that's what you needed. That someone that understood you, that knew you, that know how you feel, and that comes from experience or being around that person for such a long time, that she was able to give you the proper advice and care that you needed. So is that what you do during in your profession?
Well, I haven't had anybody who came to me with any moms or any women who were pregnant and came. No, I never had any moms that on that level. I've never had anybody. So most of my mentorship and life coaching are with the youth, and the adults come to me more for growth. They
Mm.
want to set goals and they're having difficulty setting goals because maybe we want to go back to school. So I see women on that aspect, want to go back to school, want to change their profession. So how do I go about changing my profession, or how do I go about enrolling in school? What do I study? So all these questions, like if you've never been to college, you're 30 now and you want to go back to college, you're 40 now, you want to go back to college. What are the steps? How can I feel okay in the classroom without feeling shame or guilt? So we
Mm.
go over all the feelings. We gotta go through all the feelings, dismiss all the stigmas that you think about older person going back to school and possibly, failing, because we are all afraid of failure. And I try to get into your head in that manner to tell you, like, no, you have to be positive about where you want to go. So we can write down goals. We can write down how you're going to achieve those goals. So that's one of the ways that I work in those who want to go back to school. Then for professional people who want to go back to work or change their profession, I review resumes or I help with the resume writing. I also look for jobs that might be aligned with them. I say, how about this type of job? How do you feel about that? Or give me some ideas of where you want to be in the next 3, 4, 5 years. So that's how I look at that. People come and say, well, I want to start eating well. I want to start exercising. And one of the things, again, physical wellness is very important for your mental health. So small steps. Everybody, I have 2 marathons underneath my belt. So everyone doesn't want to go out there and run a marathon, but you can walk, you can climb stairs. Small steps. You don't have to go running. You can walk. Start with yoga. There are different types of yoga, aerial yoga, hot yoga, regular yoga, chair yoga. There's so many things that we can do as an individual to take care of our physical health. It doesn't have to be I would say crazy way out there, because you don't have to bungee jump. You don't have to go hiking up the mountains. If that's what you want to do, be my guest. But that's not what I'm going to tell you to do. I'm going to start you off small, and we're going to look at what you're eating. What are your weaknesses when you're eating? My weakness is ice cream. I love ice cream, so I'll treat myself to ice cream. Next day I'm working out. So Zumba, you like to dance. How about Zumba? So in that sense, I go through each of what you like, because I have to get to know the person to see how are we going to implement some of the things that you want to achieve. An accountability. We always need an accountability partner. So that's one of the things that I look for too. Transparency. You got to tell me the truth of what you want, because you're paying me to get you to that next level. So if you're not doing the work, then that's not me, that's on you. But I want success. So if I want success and you want success, we have to work together. So you have to tell me, you got to lay it all out so that we can talk.
So you were telling me that you work with the youth as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. So do you notice the youth, they seem to be angry about or upset, or,
I work with the youth for my professional life too, because I am a prevention specialist, which is substance use. I provide education and prevention for substance use, like vaping, marijuana, drinking, underage drinking. And I will say that based upon the data that I look at for a lot of my reports, a lot of the teens have anxiety. And I'm not sure, well, we had a discussion, and I'm thinking that a lot of the times we share so much, and social media is just open. You give a kid a cell phone and the world is open right here for them to see and review everything. Before, we didn't have all the access. So you wouldn't find a lot of our generation with anxiety, unless that is anxiety that requires them for medication, or they're medicated because it's over anxiety now. This is anxiety that every day you can't manage. So I think with a lot of parents, they are sharing too much with the kids, and I see a lot of anxiety. That's what I see, a lot of anxiety, some anger issues, and some of the anger issues are fosters from their background, where they came from, because some kids who are used to living in cities or urban areas come to the suburbs, and it is not, the environment is not what they're used to, and they find themselves fighting. They
Oh, it's
find
not an
themselves.
easy transition. That's
It's
what
not
it
an easy
is. It's from one
transition. Nope.
environment to the other. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
My
not an
son
easy
had my
transition.
son. He had to deal with that because my youngest son, where he started out and going to school in New York, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually he ended up going to school out here in Pennsylvania, which was like a cold culture shock to him. But
Yes.
he handled it pretty well. He did well. He did okay. Do you run into any kids that you have to like medicate? Because I know back in my time, if a kid started to act out or had any violent tendencies, they would give them the Ritalin.
Mm.
And
No,
yeah,
nope. I don't have any kids that are medicated in that sense because most of those kids that are medicated, they have to they're part of a continuum of care ready. They have their own support system because once they're medicated, those kids have to be monitored. So I don't have any kids that I mentor that are medicated.
okay. So substance abuse, drug abuse, do you have to deal with that as well with your patients, the youth and the adult, and how do you deal with it when it comes your way?
No, I did a workshop for some students on substances, and I
Hmm.
will say that it was surprising to me that they use alcohol as a way of coping with um, everyday life, especially when it comes to school. And it was, I wouldn't say it's shocking to me that they were doing this, but it was the only coping skill that they had at that time is to deal with it with alcohol. They didn't think of playing music because we had all the kids write down how did they cope? Did they listen to music, watch TV, go to YouTube, play basketball, play football, watch YouTube shorts, talk to their coach, talk to their pastor. And I had a couple of kids that said they vape and they drink. So because we couldn't identify those, we couldn't like call those kids out in front of the other kids. We just made a blanket statement and said, like, we know that there's a lot of things going on in the world today, but knowing that starting alcohol and drugs at an early age is not good for your heart or your brain. You're too young, and you'll see the effects later on. And by then, it'll be too late. So if you want to talk to someone after the workshop is finished, um, we're here for you. So we offer resources and just guidance because it was a workshop. I didn't have anybody coming in to me for coaching that uses that, but I do mention about using marijuana too early and drinking alcohol. So if your parents have what is it? The social drinking. If your parents allow social drinking, I always remind them it's illegal and they can be fined. And this is not the way that you want to have your kids exposed to alcohol so early. So it's a conversation. It's always a conversation with parents because I think parents think it's okay that once I'm doing it at home, it's okay. But when it's the overuse, then we're saying, oh my God, how can I help my kid? Why did this happen? But you started them on a journey that they couldn't stop. So my
Yeah,
job is,
I used to smoke cigarettes. And
mhm,
I quit a long time ago, but I used to smoke cigarettes. And the way I started smoking cigarettes is that my mother would give me a cigarette and tell me to go
mhm.
light it for her. Go to the stove and
Yep.
light it for her. So
Yes.
that was like the beginnings of me smoking cigarettes. I can attest to that. Yeah. But with what you do, how do you manage? What resources do you have? Do you get government assistance, or how do you deal with it?
Well, in
Financial?
my business itself, I don't have any of that. Like I said, I don't have kids that are vaping and smoking. I just provide resources if it comes up. But through my professional work, I do have lots of resources for the community that I share, and websites that I share, and quit smoking resources and a helpline. So for the community, I do have lots of resources that I share, brochures, providers, trainings. So the schools get a lot of trainings through the grant that I manage.
Okay. Now, I met you guys at an event. So how often do you actually go out and do events?
That was my second event. I have Harlem Book Fair coming up at the end of the month. So as I'm searching as a new author, I am searching for places to go and talk about my book. Some people are sending me different events that I can join to share my book, because my book was released in May. So far I've been outside and selling it from the back of my car. I think that was the third event, the NCNW state event. That was my third event with my books. It's been going great so far. I can't complain, because it's beyond my wildest dreams. This book is beyond my wildest dreams.
Why don't you go ahead and give us a little information? You got to tell us all about the book, but tell us about the book. Isn't there two books?
No, it's one.
Oh, just the one. Okay, one.
Just the one book. Yes.
Tell us about that book. So this way people can go out and they can purchase it, and then it becomes the #1 bestseller. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the book?
From your ears to the world. I will say that this was not the book I intended to write when I first sat down writing my book 2 years ago. This was not the book I intended to write. I was starting off with my traumas. I was thinking like, okay, I should write about when I first came to the US and as a 17-year-old coming from Barbados, and how it was a cultural shock. And I was like, I think people have heard that before. I'm not the only immigrant that came. I'm not the only person that experienced cultural shocks. And I put it down because I got like that brain, like, I don't know where I want to go. I know what I want, but at that time, I couldn't see a vision yet. And I prayed about it. I was like, God, you put the words in my head. So you want me to do something, but I'm not clear. The vision isn't clear as yet. And I'm a person who get creative at night. So 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm writing them. Things come up. If I'm sleeping, I pop up. I keep Post-it notes and notebooks by my bed, and I get up and I write. Whatever comes to my head, I write it down. And I gathered some Post-its, and I'm looking at the Post-its, and I'm like, love. And I'm like, I'm in a place where I need to love myself, because my body's going through things. And I look back at where I've come from, and I was like, did I love myself back then when I was doing all this stuff? And it started coming together. So I started at the beginning where I was struggling with loving myself. And that's when I was addicted to opioids. I had migraines, and the pain was so much that when I was given oxycodone, and I was so happy. The pain went away and I was so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Well, too much of a good thing is not always great. So I found myself dependent on that oxycodone. I was taking whenever I felt like a pain, or it could not even be a pain. I just found myself taking more and more and more until I couldn't stop. And I wanted to talk about that journey. So that was the introduction to my book, a letter to myself, realizing that I was loving a pill and not really loving myself. And then
did that take you through any depression? Did you go through any depression stages because of it?
Yep, I sure did. The last straw of the depression was I was in the Bronx. I was living in the Bronx at that time. And I sat in a window. I just remember sitting in the window because again, the stigmas throughout the years, I blocked it all out. I blocked it all out because it would bring shame to my family. I came to the US and here I am on pills and suicidal, and what was wrong with me? And I sat in the window to end it all because I needed the pain to stop. The noises in my head were getting louder and louder, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And I wanted the noise, I wanted the pain to stop. And when I was about to leave the ledge, my husband pulled me back in. And he was like, this has to stop. He was like, this has to stop. This stops right now. And he locked me in a room. He locked me in the bedroom. He took the pills away. He emptied out all the pills. And he was like, this is stop. This is going to stop right now. And I just remember the look on his face. And that was it. That's all I remember. That's all I remembered was that look on his face. And then throughout the weeks, I don't know how many weeks or how many months, I don't know. I was just talking to people in the room. People were in the room talking to me, and apparently they weren't there. I was talking to people that weren't there. And his sister came and she prayed. She came over, she fed me, and it was a dark time in my life. It was a very dark time in my life, and I did not want to be here. I did not want to be here. The pain was too much.
So it sounds like a making of a good Stephen King book. You know, you might want to start a second book. You know, you might want to come out with that other book. You know, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the Stephen King vibe. You know, like Pet Cemetery or something like that. Yeah. You're gonna rise up from the dead or something. So while you were going through this debacle, were you in denial?
I will say that, yes, I was in denial. And I think at that time, when I hear mental health, now that I understand mental health on a whole different aspect, it's like your brain is hijacked. It's not yours anymore because now the pills and all the voices are controlling your brain now because you have no control. Your whole body now is here telling your body what you should do. And you have no control. So at that time, I'm like, I didn't even know. I didn't know. I did not know. I just know I was happy because the pain was gone. And the more I took it, I felt good. The dopamine feeling was great. That dopamine feeling was great. And I had to find, after he took them away and I came out of it, prayer and support got me out of it, because who at that time knew where to take me for mental health? None of that stuff existed in the 90s. None of that stuff existed for us in the 90s. I was in the Bronx. So none of this stuff existed. So it was cold turkey. It was cold turkey. Stop these pills. Cold turkey. You're going to find a way to deal with this. And I was outside. My husband would take me out for walks because we lived around Moshulu Parkway. I'm not sure if you're familiar with different parks of the Bronx.
I know where it's at.
Yes, Moshulu Parkway was a beautiful park, and he would take me out for walking. Eventually, he got me into tennis lessons and exercising, joined a gym. He did everything for me to keep busy and active. So that's where the physical wellness came in. And even though I had that, there were still little triggers that would set my mind, because I found myself crying, or I find myself, whenever I had my period, I would go downhill and then I'd come back up again. So I had to be exercising. I found joy in exercising. That's the first time in my life that I was so happy to be doing step aerobics. I was in step aerobics. I came to a community of beautiful women working out. And these were African-American women working out. Because, you know, at that time, we don't want to get our hair, we don't want to sweat our hair up, because we got to go to work and we got to look great. So that's a whole nother show. Yes, that's a whole nother show. So I had to overcome so many obstacles to get to each level of my wellness. Because even when I had my kids, the suicidal tendencies didn't go away. They didn't.
Hmm.
They did not. Many times I, I, I was thinking like I'm driving and there's a body of water and here goes a flash in my head that says, just go, just leave. This is too much for you now. Just leave. And my kids are in the back. The kids are in the back of the car. And I'm thinking of driving in the river, driving off a bridge. The tendencies remained because I wasn't healed. I wasn't fully healed. I wasn't fully healed.
So
So,
I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you a question. And I'm not being harsh. So,
yeah.
but most people that were in your condition and has gone through what you've gone through, and with the substance abuse, they would consider to be an addict. So, do you consider yourself to be an addict, and are you receiving any treatment,
At
like
that
going to
time,
AA or something?
when I look back, I consider myself an addict because I couldn't stop and I depended on my day. I couldn't get through my day without those pills.
Hmm.
So now I can't have pills. I don't take pills. It takes a lot for the doctor. I went to get dental work done and I was like, no, I need no painkillers. No, thank you. And
Yeah.
she looked at me and one of the things I said to her was like, I don't want you to prescribe any painkillers. I can deal with it. And she was like, what is your backstory? And I said, I was addicted to opioids and I don't want to go back that route. And she said to me, how long were you clean? And I was like,
Hmm.
clean. So
Yeah, yeah, you were an addict. I mean,
the the the
I know
word,
you're looking in the mirror. When you look in the mirror, you see yourself. But trust me, if it
yes.
was someone else that you had to evaluate, that would be your evaluation. Is that person is an addict? You
Yeah, so I
see,
told her the word
and
is not clean. I said the last time you use, I said now we don't stigmatize people who were, dealing with things at that time because even when I ripped my shoulder out, no, I would not take I would not take it because I know the effects of it. And once I knew the effects of it, I do better. I handle
mm,
pain differently. I handle pain differently. So I haven't had to see anyone because at that time, and I learned from that time. So I try to stay away from anything that could be addictive.
mm, and I can understand that. So look, we're about coming to the end of the show, and I'm going to say thank you very much for coming on. But are there any last words that you like to say to your viewing audience?
Yes, I would like to say that. My one of my things that I say is be kind to your mind. My book is a self-help book. And even though it has my personal stories, it does connect to you because it talks about boundaries. It talks about flaws. We look at ourselves as Black, beautiful women, but we see flaws and we want to change. We want to change them because we think other people want to see us this way or that way. But we are beautifully and wonderfully made. And that's why we are so unique. And in my book, I talk about the joy bloom theory. And it's a theory where we look inside ourselves for the joy. We don't look external. We build the joy, we build the love inside before we look outside for other things. Other things enhance what we have, but our core, that's who we really, really are. And I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Kendall, for having me. I know there's so much hats that I wear, but thank you so much for having me. And please take care of your mind. Be kind to others and be kind to your mind.
Well, we appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you'll come back and be a friend of the show. Those people that decided to tune in, please subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, but again, Miss Rhonda Thomas Booth,
Thank you.
we have to say thank you again for coming on. All right, and we're about ready to be done with the show. Okay, all right. Hey, so you got an opportunity to see a beautiful woman and look at some of the things that the sister is doing. Along with that, you got an opportunity to see that everyone is not perfect. Everyone is not perfect. Everyone has issues. And if you have any type of issues, any type of feelings, you can pick up the phone You can call 911. You can call for help, and you can have help. So thank God that you have that. So again, my name is Kendall Stevenson. Thank you guys for tuning in, and peace. We are definitely out of here.
Welcome to the Empire One Show, when knowledge meets action. Yeah. We break down barriers to financial literacy. Speak truth to power, real conversations. Oh, voices that inspire change, challenging the status quo. Tools for building wealth, taking control. Your future starts